Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 30 of the Monday series. And we're doing things a little bit differently today. I decided, I've been kind of feeling a little bit run down this past week, and so I decided I would try filming this and then recording my audio. I can't remember if I've done that or not in this series, but people are always commenting that it's like a podcast. And so I figured, well, for episode 30, why not lean into that and actually record the audio separately? Have I done that yet? I'm not sure I have, but I'm not going to talk about what I'm doing in Minecraft. So I'm sorry if you are listening to this and not watching, and I'm not narrating what I'm doing. But then again, that's kind of proving my point that, or not my point, but that's kind of just, that's very podcasty if you're just listening to this with Minecraft music and sound effects. So I figured I would just, I'm trying to seal off the whole island. I'm trying to let all the critters roam free. I was gonna make a little wolf den. But yeah, I think some of the times I get, what's the word? Not self-conscious. I get frustrated that I'm trying to talk and do something in the game, like build something or accomplish something. And then I feel like, oh, I'm not talking really well enough. And so then I lose focus on the game and I end up just walking around, exploring, or boating somewhere, or doing something very, very basic so that I can focus on the things that I'm saying, and then nothing ever happens. That said, I'm not gonna really accomplish much in this episode, I'm pretty sure. Spoiler alert, I'm doing this wrong, but I'm about to go to a village just to look for beetroots, and I'm gonna fail. But I kind of decided that I should go ahead and plant, I needed to up my wheat production because of my mud brick walls. Now that I know that you can just water bottle dirt and get mud. But I figured, you should might as well have a little bit of potatoes, a little bit of carrots, a little bit of watermelon, because this is supposed to be a really nice base. And so what if we're making potions and we need carrots, or what if we need glistering melon or something? So I'm probably gonna make a tree farm. I'm just gonna try to have one of everything, just kind of be set up for that. But I have questions. Let's see here. Oh my gosh, wait, this is so cute, and I don't do this. I was thinking I'm getting close to it. Danny's World says, love that No Name the horse is home. Make them an abandoned stables, spooky with cobwebs, because you won't visit him. Leave a ton of hay and water, a water trough for him. That's really cute. We'll definitely do that. I think, don't I need Silk Touch still for cobwebs? I really must enchant in the next episode. Oh wait, I got another comment from Danny's World. 2 in a row. Hi, Stacy. I was looking at your shop and couldn't find the link to the book tour. Oop, I'm sorry. Don't know if California's on your list or if there's an entrance fee. Thank you for taking the time and talking with us and creating. So yeah, I finally announced the full book tour, and I'm very sorry if I'm not coming anywhere near you. I feel very lucky that I get to go at least on this teeny book tour, which is really only 4 cities in addition to Salt Lake City, which is very close by. I always wish that I could announce these things months in advance, but it's always kind of a question whether I'm going to be able to go to any places, and whether or not, the schedules align. You have to, make sure that the bookstores are in the loop and willing and available those days. And so it's coming up quick. It's happening. I mean, I'm recording this on the 13th, and I'm talking about the week of the 4th of November. But yeah, I'm going to be in Salt Lake City on the 4th, and then I'm going to be in Denver on the 6th, in Seattle at Lake Forest Park on the 7th, in Roseville, California on the 8th, and in Mesa, Arizona on the 9th. And if you go to the Stacyplays Instagram, there's individual posts for all of the tour stops, and that kind of explains. Sometimes you do have to call the bookstore and place an order for the book through them. You're always totally, oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Permission? You're allowed. Oh my goodness, what happened there to me? You're always allowed to bring other things for me to sign if you have like, old copies of Wild Rescuers or old posters from my store. But you do have to buy the current book because that just kind of is, I think, their way of making sure that it's worth, they have to staff the event. And I don't make any money other than like the books. Like I don't get like an appearance fee or something. But yeah, buying the book helps me a ton, especially the first week. So that's why, pre-orders count for the first week. So if you're not coming, please consider pre-ordering. Let's have another question. But yeah, no, I'm excited to go. It is always a question, like whether, this sounds so silly, but this is this kind of stuff I think about, is I'm always like, do I check a bag or do I carry it on? And there's so many different factors because one, have a bad back. So sometimes I think, okay, if I carry it on, it has to be a suitcase that has, wheels. But then truly when I get on the plane, I almost have to ask someone to help me lift it in the overhead bin, because sometimes even that motion, if the suitcase is too heavy, it's not about not being able to lift it. It's about lifting it and then holding it. So like lifting it straight up and over your head is no problem. But then the second you push it out away from your body, but you're still lifting it, that's the problem that I'm having these last like 5 years. And I've been to physical therapists and I've gotten like an MRI, and I don't seem to be able to figure out, like I haven't like really tried to figure it out hard, but no one's been able to tell me yet, like, oh yeah, that's your blah, blah, blah. But it's very much the action of lifting weight and then pushing it away from you. Which is very similar to throwing hay bales on a farm, cough, cough, my original injury. Anyway, so yeah, I think like, oh yeah, no, I have this cute duffel bag. Like, what if I pack really light and I figure out like the minimum clothes I have to bring for book tour, and then I just have this duffel bag that I bring with me and I don't have to check a bag, because then you don't have to wait at the luggage. What if your bag gets lost? Oh my gosh, last book tour was so stressful. Did I ever tell this story? I went to the airport and checked in, and I checked my bag, and the first stop was Dallas, and it was the day that they had that historic freeze and they closed the airport, and my publisher called me and was like, well, you just have to fly straight to Orlando now, because if you fly to Dallas, first of all, the event will be canceled for tonight because people just can't even drive anywhere right now. But the airport's closed too, so you're not even going to get there probably until like 9 or 10 p.m. maybe if they reopen things, but then your flight is the next morning. But if it's still freezing cold, like we just have no idea what's happening. And so the safest thing is to just cancel. You'll have to reschedule the Dallas event, and you're still at the airport. We can just book you on a flight to Orlando, because that's where your event was going to be tomorrow. Well, that's fine. They already did it. The publisher was like, we booked you to Orlando. But my suitcase was already checked to Dallas. And so my suitcase is going to Dallas, and I am now not. And then something happened where Delta automatically rebooked me on a flight trying to get me to Dallas still. So they rebooked my original canceled flight going to like Atlanta and then Dallas. But my publisher had already just like bought a new plane ticket for me to Orlando. They hadn't tried to mess with the canceled flight. And so here I am booked on this flight to Orlando now, but my suitcase now is supposed to go... booked to Orlando, but my suitcase, this is one of those moments again where I'm like, why am I telling this story? Anyway, the point is my suitcase then got booked on a flight that was going to Atlanta and then to Dallas. And it was like, that's all my clothes for the book tour. That's all my clothes. Like I keep like a carry-on that has my essentials, but I would have had to just wear the same outfit over and over and over or something. And so I like ran to the luggage section and was like the little like office next to the conveyor belt where your luggage comes out. And I was like pleading them, like, go grab my suitcase off this Atlanta flight. Like I didn't okay this rebooking to Atlanta. Like that's crazy. And they were so like helpful, and they were like, yeah, we're going to go do it. And they went, and they were like, no, we couldn't get it. And then they're like, it's okay. Like when your flight, when it gets to Atlanta, we're going to pull it off the plane, and we're going to put it on a plane to Orlando for you. And it'll arrive at the Orlando airport like at midnight, and you can go get it. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. I hope that works. And then just by some miracle, this sweet man was like, no, I got it. I got it off the plane. Here it is. Anyway, so that's just a bit of a horror story that makes me go like, I don't want to check a bag. I don't want to check a bag, but then it becomes a feat of like, okay, you gotta strategically pack. But honestly, it's my favorite thing to do. It's like my hobby is to strategically pack. Okay, let's see here. Oh no, I'm gonna get in trouble now. Jafuri, hi Jafuri. Why did you even laugh? This is to do with the story I told in the last episode about my dentist offering me Botox to help with teeth clenching, jaw clenching, teeth grinding at night. Jafuri writes, I'm so confused. Poor dentist. No, not poor dentist. Poor dentist. Don't feel bad for the dentist. The dentist is making money hand over fist here, and is offering Botox as a way to make more money. Like I think I said this in the last episode. I don't mind if people, if it helps people, then that's great. And if my teeth clenching was a huge problem and I was getting headaches every day, I would look into it more for sure. That's just not the case. And I laughed because I just personally am not planning on getting Botox, but if I do, it won't be at my dentist. Like it just was a funny thing to me because I've been going to the dentist so often since when I was a kid. And so it's just funny when something unexpected pops up. Like to me, it just tickled something in my brain. It's like going to the doctor's office and then them going like, you know, and we've got cotton candy this time. It was like, what do you mean? Like I just didn't see the correlation at first, and so I was just laughing because it just cracked me up as being so unexpected and so just kind of like just not something I would really do. I mean, I honestly, I think it's easy to get into trouble here by not being, I support anyone doing anything to themselves, honestly, really. But I think it's still okay to say like, I would not get Botox. Like it's the tox stands for toxin, and you're injecting it next to your brain, which is kind of like my most prized possession is my brain. so for me, it's just a non-starter, and who knows, maybe I'll evaluate that if I, all of a sudden have a bunch of wrinkles or something. But I think I don't know. Why shouldn't I? I don't care anymore. You know what I mean? I don't care anymore. I don't care about getting in trouble for saying that I don't support dog breeding, or for saying that I think it's ridiculous if you get Botox and you're young. Like, I think people are just trying to make money off of you, of being like, yeah, get this preventatively. You don't need it. You only need it if you're trying to not age. And I think if you're trying to not age, you need to evaluate why that is. Because that's inevitable. So anyway, yeah, that's why I laughed. I laughed just because I was like, wait a minute, I'm here to get a filling. Or no, that wasn't a filling, that was a cleaning. I was there for a cleaning. And it was just like, how did we get here? Trying to make some money. Yeah, I mean, people should always be skeptical of stuff like that, right? You always need to pause for a second and go, is this just like complete altruism that this dentist is like, we can help you? It's like, no, there's a reason to. Waste Chase. Hi, Stace. I have 2 questions for you. 1, if there was a real life Jurassic Park, would you go? Oh, that's such a good question. Oh, I didn't read this one. 2, I simultaneously select which questions to answer and also skim them. 2, if you were to make your own video game, what would it be about? Also, I think we should name the boat chicken Rudder. Yeah, okay, name it Rudder. The boat chicken is named Rudder. That's so adorable. I was thinking of making a boat. Am I spoiling a future thumbnail? I was thinking about making a boat and putting Rudder up in like a crow's nest, and then putting just the rest of the chickens like on the boat with like hoppers to collect eggs. Like the chests for the eggs would be like in the bottom of the ship. I just had an idea because I was like, is it a tugboat? Is it a Minecraft boat? But it'd be so cute if it was like kind of a partially sinking ship. No, that'd be sad actually. Anyway, if Jurassic Park was real, would I go? That is, I'm gonna say yes, because I can't think of a cooler. If you had to go on a vacation and not make it home, I would want to see a dinosaur before that untimely demise. I think the distinction to make here is that I would go to a real life Jurassic Park. I would not go to a real life Jurassic World. And the way I look at the two is sort of like, for as flawed as John Hammond was, I think of the first Jurassic Park as sort of like a zoo. It was not a zoo because they genetically brought back the animals. So it was flawed from the start. But once the dinosaurs were brought back, there was a lot of like expenses and care, they spared no expense, taken into making nice paddocks for them. And, you know, there was some enrichment going on with that goat and the T-Rex and the cows and the raptors. Like, that's enrichment, you know? It was like a zoo. They had, you know, Muldoon was a gameskeeper, wasn't he? It felt like a zoo. And not all zoos are bad. Jurassic Park was bad, but I'm saying that it still felt like, here's a better way to explain it. In the way that I think Jurassic Park felt more like a zoo, and Jurassic World feels more like SeaWorld, right? Where like, so do you remember the scene? The scene that bothered me was the mosasaur, and like how there were basically like a stadium of people. It was cool, don't get me wrong, in like a splash zone, and then they get taken underwater to see the mosasaur underwater. The difference is, and like the little things that, the pods that you get in and you roll around on it like a ride, the difference is that the dinosaurs in Jurassic World are there to entertain you, and in Jurassic Park, you're just going there to observe the dinosaurs. Like, you're getting entertained. Like, if I go to a zoo, I'm getting entertained by seeing animals that I don't get to see in my everyday life. That's entertaining to me. But we live in such a world where we're always in need of more stimulation. Stimulation? That's a word, right? My brain just did some weird, like, stimulation. We always have to up the stakes. And so then it's like, oh no, what if it's a ride that's like scary? Or what if it's like, you know, death-defying adventure? It's like, no, it doesn't need to be that, because it's dinosaurs. It's already death-defying adventure. Like, will they stay in the paddock or not? It doesn't have to also be a ride. So yes, I would go to the original Jurassic Park. Hands down, I would go to the original Jurassic Park. And like, honestly, to me, what the problem was carnivores, right? Like, can you imagine if John Hammond had just said, let's just start with herbivores, right? Like, if they just made a Jurassic Park. What were the dinosaurs in the first Jurassic Park that you saw? A Triceratops. You saw a Parasaurolophus. Gallimimus. If you had just had those, and then in Lost World, all of a sudden there was like Stegosaurus, which was weird because we didn't see them in the first movie. But say you just started with omnivores and herbivores. Brachiosaurus, like, that would have been enough. You would have done it. They would have done it. Sure, of course, more people want to see, but that's what I'm talking about. That's raising the stakes. And then people died, you know? People died then, and they didn't have to. It could have just been a cool island with a Triceratops on it, and that would have been enough. I was thinking about rhinoceroses the other day, because 100% dinosaurs evolved into birds, right? But there's something about a rhinoceros to me that is still so cool and reminds me of a dinosaur, because it has a weapon attached to its head. Do you know what I mean? So like, what's another animal that has that, you know? That's what I'm trying to... I mean, all animals, so many animals have defensive techniques. But what is another animal that it's like so in your face? Like, I'm gonna mess you up with this horn right here if you approach me. Like walrus tusks, I guess. Elephant tusks. I don't know. That's why I think the rhinoceros is so cool, because it just reminds me of a Triceratops or like an ankylosaur. It's just like, see this horn? Don't get closer. And I'm trying to think, there must be, leave them in the comments. There must be other animals that I'm just stupidly not thinking of that have such an obvious weapon attached to them. But don't just tell me like a kangaroo tail. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm saying, is the rhinoceros is cool because it's like, it's a horn and it's spiky. Let's move on. I feel like we've lost some people. Wait, if I were to make my own video game, I mean, that's really, I have an answer, but I almost don't want to say it because I'd like to make that video game. But I don't see that really happening. But I think I think it'd have something to do with dogs, right? It'd have to. Let's see here. Oh no, the controversial topics just keep coming. Rayon Sleepy Ash. Stacy, I'm taking AP Language and Composition, and I would like to use shopping or adopting pets as a debate question. Do you have any sources that could potentially help me? I wrote that question down, and I didn't do my homework. I should have. No, I don't. You know, I think you could look into what the ASPCA is putting out in terms of statistics. Best Friends in Utah probably has some resources. I'd be interested in what you find. I'm really interested in, like, yeah, how many, you know, when you think about breeding dogs, I wonder if you look really long term, has it gotten much better over time or has it gotten much worse? It feels like it's gotten much worse to me because every other person that I talk to is like, has invented a new doodle that they own. And I'm like, what? What is this? What's a double doodle? Or a Bernedoodle or a, no, I met someone who was, they had a dog that was part Bernedoodle, part double doodle. Anyway, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's less kill shelters now than there used to be and that things are trending in a positive rate. I just don't know. So I think that that's great that you're actually trying to like put some science behind it. I think that'd be an awesome debate topic. But you know, my whole thing, I feel like, here's what I'll say, which is what I feel like I haven't wanted to say because for so many reasons, like I said, if you're living in your parents' home and you don't have full say on what kind of a dog you get, then I don't want anyone to ever feel bad for having a dog because those dogs need love and they need, you know, care and they need your help. And that's amazing. But if you have the choice, if it's just you, then if you decide, okay, you know, I'm just going to do it. Shelters are really awful places, right? Because they're euthanizing dogs there. And so oftentimes they smell like death. And a dog has a much better sense of smell than we do. And so if you can have the ability to walk into a shelter and take a dog who is in basically a solitary confinement cell, wondering why they've been abandoned there and why it smells like death, and take that dog home and give it a bath and a comfy bed and toys and food and affection, the feeling that is, it's so incredible. And if you are like, no, I think I would rather pay a lot of money and have a dog be born into a litter and then when it's when it's like what, 10 weeks or 12 weeks old, take it away from its family, then I think you're weird. That's all it is. That's the no one asked for this. No one asked for, I keep doing this in this series and now everyone's going to be mad at me. But that's just a weird thing to do. You're not thinking. I don't think you're thinking about it that way. So that's it. And if you've done it already, don't regret it. Like, it's like, dogs are amazing. Like I said, all dogs need homes. But, you know, just this idea that it's kind of like, yeah, but I want what I want. It's like, okay, cool. I want a unicorn. It's not real. It's not. Unicorns aren't real. And you know what? Neither is Jurassic Park. I should not do this. I should just talk about Minecraft. Okay, let's go on to another question. Carrie Schultz 904. I started watching your videos during the Cube. I'm around your age. I would read books with you if you started some kind of book club. But I read slow. Takes me 6 weeks to get through a book. Except Hunger Games, I was sucked into those books so hard, read all the books in 2 weeks. I read Journey to the Center of the Earth and 21 Balloons because of Bookcraft. You pick good books. Although I did love Congo. Oh, did I say I didn't? Really? Probably one of my favorite Crichton books. You have to update on how you feel about the Andromeda Strain. Have you read Timeline? I remember liking that one a lot. That's a really good point about the frequency of a book club, because I kind of think in my brain, I go, well, aren't book clubs like every month? But I'm like you, right? Time just slips past me. And so now I'm kind of thinking, if I were to start a book club, it would probably be wise to do a book every 2 months. To me, I could see it not being sustainable if it were to be a new book every single 30 days. Whereas if you announce it, because here's the thing, it's like if you say, hey guys, this is what we're going to read next time, the question becomes, do you say that before you've really finished the other book? Because I don't really like that. That's kind of not satisfying to me to be talking about a book, but then already be going like, and this is go get the next book. But I also understand, like, you've got to request it from your library, or you have to decide if you're going to purchase it or purchase the audiobook. Maybe you're going to try to look for it secondhand. And so it makes sense to, give at least a week, like announce the book, and then expect that people probably aren't going to start reading that book for like a week. People have lives, people have other projects, people have other books that they're reading. So then that means you really only have 3 weeks. But on the last week, you're going to probably want to talk about the book. So yeah, I think that's 6 books a year instead of 12. I wonder if that's the ticket. But then I also kind of go, well, who's the book club for? Is it just for all ages? But also, no, I don't mean all ages. I mean, it's for adults or young adults, but we dip down occasionally into more of a book that is for all ages, because that's just fun. It's not fun to always be in a pretentious book club. Or do I do a younger book club and an older book club? I don't have the answer to that yet. I think just one book club, and you alternate between a more challenging book, not like Journey to the Center of the Earth. That was too challenging in my opinion. But like a beefier novel, and then something that's just like, oh, I've been wanting to reread this from my childhood, or something like that. But then that's only 6 books a year. Is that enough for a book club? Let me know. But do you guys want to... Okay, so my Crichton situation is thus. I read Jurassic Park as a kid. I read The Lost World as a kid. I was so sucked into it. And then I tried reading The Andromeda Strain. I don't know what happened to my copy. I think I had a copy as like a 14-year-old. And I don't have it anymore. But it was just too... I don't know if it was too challenging for me or too science fiction for me. I abandoned it pretty early on. So I still haven't read that one. And then later in life, I read Congo. And then I read Sphere and just loved it. And since then I've read Prey. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now. And I also read Airframe, which is, not Not my favorite. I liked Prey. I thought Prey was pretty well paced, honestly. And so, you can read, I don't know when it was written, but you could read it right now and still, it's still tech that doesn't exist. So, to my knowledge, maybe there's who knows what people are doing. The world is a big place with nanoparticles. But yeah, Airframe to me was not worth the read, really. And now I just picked up a copy of The Terminal Man. And I'm really excited about that because I found an original hardcover at my secondhand bookstore of it. And so that's the next Crichton that I'm going to read, is The Terminal Man. And then I also found a hardcover at my used bookstore of his book Travels, which I'm very interested to read because it's basically it's nonfiction, or memoir-ish, adjacent, probably. So those are my next two books that I want to read of his. I haven't read Timeline. Yeah. Oh, and I forgot I read Eruption. I just don't even have it on my bookshelf because it was posthumous and it was not that good. I actually just bought 2 books by Ursula K. Le Guin. And I figured if I like science fiction, which is a strong term, but if I'm testing out the waters of science fiction, I might as well start there. So I purchased The Left Hand of Darkness and a book of short stories, I think it is, called Buffalo Gals. And so those are actually the books I'm about to read. Well, actually, for my book club, though, I'm reading Ceremony. So those are the books I'll be reading next. Probably Ceremony and then... No, I'll probably start with The Left Hand of Darkness and then Ceremony. And then, hopefully, The Terminal Man. And that'll probably take me into the holidays. Was that everything in that question? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I was also sucked in by the Hunger Games. I read all of those dystopian books back then. Divergent and the Hunger Games and what was I gonna say? I don't know. Let's move on. Ever After Minty. Hey Stacy, my last question didn't seem to post properly, so I'll ask again. Ancestry has become a topic I'm very interested in as of late. Do you feel a connection with your ancestry? As a fellow half Latino myself, I've grown to become more interested in my indigenous Spanish and African ancestors. Do you ever wish to learn more? What kinds of traditions do you keep touch with? How did your parents influence your upbringing in regards to passing down their heritage to you? Thanks if you answer. I think this would be a unique topic for a video. Yeah, it is a unique topic. I do feel connected to my ancestors. But I wasn't always that way, I think. And I guess that's interesting. I don't think I feel that connected to my ancestors on my more just European, Spanish is European, but on my, just gonna say white side of my family, I wouldn't say that I feel that connected to my ancestors, other than the fact that I was so deeply connected to my grandparents. But not really. I have a portrait in my house of my grandmother's mother, but I don't know that much about her. or beyond. I don't know very much about beyond my grandparents' parents, and I really don't know much about my grandparents' parents. But I really got to know my grandparents pretty well, and obviously I didn't have enough time with them. By the time I realized how interested I was in their lives, I sort of run out of time to ask them all of the questions that I wanted to. But I got a lot in. And I still feel very connected to them in the way that I live my life, in, you know, how I'm choosing not to get Botox, for example. That was sarcasm. But no, I still feel very connected to them, and I probably will for the rest of my life. I mean, don't get me started on this. I really don't know how to I don't know how to move on from the loss of them. It just feels like I'll be pretty sad about it for the rest of my life, because I just loved them so much, and I loved spending time with them and staying at their house, and the pace at which they lived life is very much something I aspire to in my own life. Now on my Mexican / Spanish / indigenous Mexico side of my family, I do feel a little bit more connected. But like I said, it wasn't always that way, because growing up, one, I don't have dark skin. I have, you know, just kind of olivey skin. And two, we didn't speak Spanish in my home because my grandfather didn't want my dad and his siblings to speak Spanish. He was born in Texas in the 1920s, right at, you know, the border between San Antonio and Mexico. That's not actually the border, just so you know. I'm not dumb. But in 1920, it was kind of a different situation, right? And he had a really difficult time. And I think that part of his sort of coping with that was to really assimilate into speaking English. And my grandmother on that side, I never knew her. She passed away when my dad was little. And so she spoke Spanish, and I think that without her around, it was a lot easier for my grandfather to go, no, we're not going to speak Spanish. Like, you know, we need to speak English in the home, because that's what's going to help, you know, my children assimilate in a way that maybe he had a hard time with. You know, again, we're talking about 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So, yeah, I remember being a teenager and going places with him, and he was, you know, in his 60s. And in the 90s, if there was someone who looked like they might be able to speak Spanish and they were in their 60s, it was kind of more of a given that he did speak Spanish. And so people would see him in like a restaurant, or I remember being at a dry cleaner or a gas station, and they would almost kind of out of respect speak Spanish to him. And he was very much like, no, don't speak Spanish to me. I speak English. And it was a very defensive thing that he did, you know, that I later understood came from, you know, so much probably hard times that he endured as like a kid in the school system in Texas. But at the time it was kind of confusing. It was like, oh, why why is he so stubborn about this? Like, let's speak Spanish. And, you know, I had to learn Spanish. And so, like, yeah, it was difficult because I feel like there was this disconnect, because any extended family that I spent time with, they spoke Spanish. And I was like, I don't know. But I was able to, you know, track a lot of kind of like ancestry records down and like trace family history. And, you know, there's not a lot of traditions, I would say, that you know, what's so interesting is Dia de Muertos, because if I go talk to my relatives, like I have relatives now that are in their late 60s, 70s. I have a great uncle who's in his 80s. I say, did you remember this, like in Texas as a kid? And they'll be like, no, we didn't do that here. But so yeah, it's interesting because even that is like an example of a tradition that isn't a tradition, but it feels like a good tradition to have because it connects me to that family that I had. So I love going down to San Antonio during Dia de Muertos and seeing all of the tables that they set up, and I think it's great. I think it's awesome. I kind of was like, why have I ever celebrated Halloween? I don't know what Halloween really means to me. Did that answer your question? I think so. Wait a minute. Do I have anything else to say? Do I have any other questions? Oh no. I've got like another hour. I had such high hopes. I was like, well, I'll talk slow, you know. Sometimes when I'm editing, as I like furiously type onto my channel to see if there's any other questions I want to answer. Sometimes when I'm editing, I'm listening and I'm like, how do people put this on double speed? Because I would not blame them. Sometimes I edit it on double speed because sometimes I'll just like listen through to what I said. And then I think, oh, let me slow it down here to real speed. And then I go, did I slow it down to slow-mo? Why am I talking so slow? I think that's just the nature of like Instagram Reels and TikToks and everything now is like so fast. Okay, I'm going through my questions now because I have a lot more time to fill here. Hey Stacy, thanks for your amazing vids. This is Ava Jade. I always am excited for the next one. I was rewatching Dogcraft and I was wondering what your favorite build was. If you don't have a favorite, then what was the funnest to build? Well, for sentimental reasons now, I think my favorite building is the ARF gallery because it just turned out so much better than I could have expected to. Like when you go into, for me, when I think of doing a Minecraft build, you know, my expectations are not high for myself. Like I remember when I built my house in the Candy Mesa, I remember kind of having an idea of like, oh yeah, I want it to be sort of like Victorian-y or like, I don't know how it's going to work. And I remember building that house and going, wait, what? Like, why is it so good? Like, I thought it was so good. Just compared to other houses that I've built in Minecraft. Like, have you seen my Dogcraft house is a rectangle. You know, it's an apartment building, not for any creative choice other than it's a rectangle. like, like this was, I just started playing Minecraft. I mean, that's not true. I'd probably been playing it for like a year, but building wise, it was like, okay, you build a rectangle and then you cut in some doors and windows. The only thing that made it, I'm like, I was like, well, it's birchwood, and so it's Dalmatian-y. It's like, it's a rectangle. It cracks me up that that's my house in my most popular series of that I'm known for now being a builder in. But yeah, I was really proud of the Candy Mesa home. But for the most part, I'm never really like, I kind of have a vision of how it'll end. But with the art gallery, oh, hi, Pippi. Pippi has come to visit. With the art gallery, I just couldn't envision how the space would make me feel once I had all of the artwork in it as paintings. Like, and that's not, it's kind of surprising, right? Because I've had paintings that I've done as artwork in Dogcraft before, and I've shown paintings on the screen. That's maybe what it is that in Dogcraft, I would usually be in like a room in Minecraft, and then in editing, I would put a piece of fan art on the screen. But that did something in my brain, it felt like, where all of a sudden it felt like I had been like shrunken down and put into the Minecraft world in a way that I don't usually feel, because now the artwork was actually like all around me, like completely immersing me. And so it actually affected me quite a bit. I was like, this is so cool. This is the coolest thing ever. It lags a lot, but it's satisfying to go there in the world, because it just feels like, wow, I'm really proud of how this turned out. Yeah, I think that's my answer. I was gonna say something else though at the beginning. I was gonna say something like, well, I mean, I think I was excited about my car wash, dog wash. Like, I think I was like, so, I don't, looking back, I'm like, well, it's not really that groundbreaking. But I think at the time I was like, how fun. Mr. Pip. Yeah? You probably couldn't hear that. That was very cute. He's so quiet. Pip, Pippy. But he knows his name. Pippy. Hi, Mr. Pip. Mr. Pip is obsessed with plastic. Does anyone else's cat love eating plastic and you have to constantly, like, if I buy a loaf of bread and I haven't put it away yet, he just like jumps on the counter and just gnaws on the plastic, and it's like, stop, what are you doing? But yeah, I call him Pippy Plastic because of that. I'm currently in the midst of a situation where I bought a bunch of pants. I didn't buy a bunch of, well, I did, but I bought one pair of pants and I wanted it for my book tour. And they got lost in the mail. And I think it was around the time that there was the storm. Was it Helene? Is that how you say it? I think it got lost, which is understandable. But I waited and waited and waited, thinking like, well, surely it says that it's still on its way, but it was like, no, it's lost. And then the pants like weren't available, and I was really upset about it. And they're expensive pants too, I should say. They're like so expensive. But it was like, I'm gonna, like I said about my packing, I'm probably gonna wear these pants every day. Pippi, don't chew that plastic. I have to return that. Pippi. So then I was like, oh, this is so sad. But then I saw that there was a pair available again. And so I jumped on it and I ordered it, but it wouldn't let me expedite it. And so then it was like, no, it's not going to arrive for so long. We'll have another event before the book tour, so it's imminent. So then I was kind of sad. I was like, that stinks. But then I realized that if I found that they were out of stock again, then they were in stock again, and if I shipped them to a different address, like a different P.O. box that I had, it did let me expedite them. So then I was like, okay, I'm just going to order these again and return the other ones that come late. But then I filed a claim saying that I never received the other ones so that I could get my money back for that. And they resent those overnight. So all of a sudden I ordered like 3 pairs of these very expensive pants, and they all arrived today. And it was just very confusing how it happened. So now I have to return 2 of them. Why did I tell that story? I don't know. I just don't know. Let me see if I have some other questions. Pip? Did you just cry? What are you crying about? Is it almost, oh, it's almost his dinner time. They are so spoiled. They are so spoiled. I think I worked it out. I think it cost me $7 a day to feed my cats, which I think is probably pretty high compared to most. But the thing is that he was needing that medicated food, but now he doesn't, as long as he eats basically pure protein. But that then, of course, drives the cost up of cat food. Christopher, are you playing Java? Yes, I am. Hey, Stacy, this is Olivia. I wanted to come and say I found your channel when I was in 3rd grade, and now I'm a senior in high school. I also wanted to ask if you'd play The Long Dark again. I've recently been binge watching your old Twitch streams. Thank you so much. I always wonder if when people say, because I get that comment more than I expect to, of play Long Dark again. Which I hope people know that, like, it has nothing to do with The Long Dark, and it has everything to do with just my own preferences for how I spend my time. If I was doing multiple videos a week, like I used to do multiple videos a day, I would still be playing The Long Dark. I hope people know that, because I love the game. And I'm always worried that they missed the Twitch streams, because we did some crazy stuff on the Twitch streams on the game, like some fun challenges. And those are, those are on YouTube too, under just a different channel. But I think I am going to play just one episode at least, because they introduced the mountain lion and I haven't seen it yet. So I really want to at least upload that for people. But yeah, I probably won't go back to playing it just same way that I don't, do a lot of series that I used to do. And it just has to do with wanting to spend my time writing or petting Molly, identifying birds, it's sad, but it's also just, it's not sad because I did it for like 10 years and it was so unintentional that I could keep doing it, but I really, it's at odds with sort of my kind of what feels good to me is not, if I had my way, I would not have this computer in my house. That's why I kept an office for so long, but then it was just like, it was so expensive to keep an office. But I've pared down my setup. Oh my gosh, when I sold off all my office stuff, the amount of stuff I had, chairs and monitors and microphones and sound panels and keyboards. I had like 6 keyboards, mouse pads. I don't even know why I had so many mouse pads. I just, over the years of sort of doing YouTube full time and getting sent things, I had like 3 different VR headsets that I think I used one of them for a branded video once. It was excessive. And so I'm glad that I don't get sent that much stuff anymore. And I'm also glad that I was able to sell most of the stuff and pay for Molly's cancer surgery. But even now, I've narrowed it down to such a lean setup. YouTubers always share photos of their setup, and I have the saddest gamer setup now, because it's not really. But I think over time I've figured out what you actually need and what is just kind of for show. But I have a monitor, I have headphones, I have a keyboard and a mouse, and I have a microphone and a microphone stand and a pop filter, and then the actual tower itself. And then I have this thing, and I don't really even know what it's called. And I don't even know how much I spent on it. I don't even want to know. I don't remember. Back in those days, I had like these tech guys that I would go to, and they would recommend me things. Maybe it wasn't that expensive, but it's this system where basically if the power goes out, this happened just yesterday. If the power goes out, it keeps the computer on, and it does like a loud beep. And then you have like a minute or 2 to close the computer. Because like if the power went out right now and I've been recording this for over an hour, I would lose that most likely. And so I have that, and that's fine, but my cabin is so small that I really wish that I just had the desk and I could have like my laptop and a typewriter, and just write. I don't actually like having a large PC and a big microphone. But I like having the big monitor though, because it's a 4K monitor and I watch a lot of tennis on it. It was what was it today? It was like the Shanghai finals, and it was between Djokovic and Sinner. I watched the whole tournament. It was so incredible. It was amazing because Roger Federer and Carlos Alcaraz were in the stands. It was just like, it was like a Grand Slam final almost, except it's not, because it happens so fast because they only have to win 2 sets. Anyway. Why did I just rant about that I want to get rid of my computer? Oh, that's just where I'm at. That's just where I'm at in terms of like, I wish I had it in me to keep, because I feel like I'm letting a lot of people down. But I know like when I go to the book events, people like the books as well, and I hope that I can do some other things that people will like. Oh my gosh, this is another one. Emma Rogers. Hey Stacy, my sister and I have been watching your channel for years and have watched almost every episode of Dogcraft together. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh no, I have to keep going. I watched the Long Dark series you made and was wondering if you would ever go back to it. I play the Long Dark now and it has changed quite a bit from when you played, and it would be interesting to see what you think of the game now. So Emma Rogers, you are the person that I wanted to ask. Do you know about the Stacyplays streams channel with all the Long Dark streams? Because I don't know that the game has changed that much from when I did all those streams. So your comment leads me to believe that maybe you're just basing it off of my like 15 Let's Plays. But I don't know. What do other people say? Nina, the Botox topic always makes me laugh. Yes, a lot of people are skeptical when it comes to dental professionals and Botox, but I'm currently in hygiene school and we study head and neck anatomy more than any medical profession, like nurses. So it would make a lot of sense for dental professionals to inject in those areas. Do you know what? Because I got diagnosed with periodontal disease a couple years ago. I don't think I've ever talked about that because it's like... it's a whole long story. But as part of that, and the treatments, I started talking to this person who specializes in it, and going to see her. And it's just fascinating that, like, have I said this before? So, like, if you take your dog to the vet, this is how she explained it to me. If you take your dog to the vet, the first thing they do, no matter what you say is wrong with your dog, is they look at your dog's teeth. And it's not the dentist, it's the vet, but it's like what she was explaining to me, and I don't know enough about it, but it was basically just like everything starts in the mouth almost. Like that really it shouldn't be a separate industry. And the dental industry seems like I keep hearing about all these dentist offices just getting like bought up by like big conglomerates. And it's like, it's such a critical component of healthcare. Like, she was basically saying that, like, you know, periodontal disease could lead to like a heart attack. Like, it's all connected. Like, it's all, you know, you can almost tell everything from like oral hygiene. You can see what else is going on in the body, kind of thing. And so that it's just dentistry, in her opinion, should never have become this sort of like niche, like, you know, separate thing. So anyway, I'm not surprised. Like, I fully, you know, who knows, next episode even, I might be like, guys, I got Botox and I feel so much better. I don't wake up with a headache every day. Who knows? So yeah, I just shouldn't talk. But I'll keep talking. Let's see here. Oh, this is frustrating. Andrew says, with cheats, you can't get advancements, but I don't have cheats on, so I can get advancements. But I think the main one you will get is called the whole pack, and it's an advancement for taming all the wolf variants, which would be pretty cool to get once you tame the last one you're missing. So I will be getting a regular wolf. Everyone was so mad at me like 30 episodes ago when I said that I wasn't going to get one of the vanilla original wolf variants in this series. I'm just going to get it last, essentially, because yeah, I have to get that advancement. It's not an advancement series, right? Like, I have to figure out like what I actually want in the nether. What do I want out of the nether? I know I want potions, but I don't think that there's any, like, I don't have a desire. I mean, I guess I want to see a trial chamber, but I don't think I have a desire to be like, and we gotta kill the wither in this series, and we've gotta kill the ender dragon. Now, I might decide that I want to kill the ender dragon because I really want a shulker box, or I really want elytra. But it's not like a bucket list kind of a series like that. But the whole pack seems like an advancement that would probably, like, we got to get that on like the last episode, right? Which, by the way, I don't think that there will ever really be a last episode of this series, because the whole point of this series was like, I would always make a new world when Minecraft would update and be like, hey guys, like, there's dolphins now, like, let's go find them. And it always bothered me that was always a new world, that then I just like abandoned that particular Minecraft version. So even if there is like a last episode of the series, that would mean like, hey, I'm no longer going to upload this weekly, so it's the last episode. That episode would probably be the one that I would get that advancement in and go get the other wolf. And that means I have to find the other like 3 wolves that were missing. Is it 3? But then I wouldn't be surprised if like within the year, anytime they announce if they add a new mob, particularly a friendly mob, I'm going to want to just see it. And so I'll probably make a video, and that video will be in this world. That is why this world exists. Buttered noodles. Hi, Stacy. I was wondering if you had a brat summer. I don't know. I know that is like it's something to do with lime green. And a musical artist that I don't know, which is either the Charlie XCX. Is that the letters that's I'm supposed to say right now? Or is it Dua Lipa? I don't. Anyway, is a brat summer a good thing? Because it sounds from context and like the things that I've seen is that it's supposed to be like cool. And so then I would say no, because my dog had cancer. And so that was my whole summer. Like my whole summer was holding my breath, getting her surgery, recovering for her, like making sure she recovered well, getting her radiation, making sure she recovered well. It was a whole summer long process because everything took weeks in between each thing. But maybe that is a brat summer. Like, I don't, because I don't actually, hold on, let's just Google it. Is brat summer good? Enjoying life as much as you can in spite of the struggles you're facing? Is that what it means? Then yeah, sure. I think that Molly and I did that. We honestly, we had a pretty good time in Colorado when she was getting her radiation treatment, because I need to eventually like edit a vlog about this, because she got more attention. Like, so every single day for 18 days, I had to walk her down this really long hallway in the hotel. And I guess I don't take her that, like, I take her to places where there's lots of other dog owners, like the vet. And so, like, people aren't really complimenting you on your dog as much. When I first moved to Los Angeles, I took her to the mall a couple times, and people felt bad for her. People were like, it was like, I think it just must have been a time where people didn't bring their dogs out as much. And so, like, people just kind of were like, oh, she looks sad. It's like, yeah, she really doesn't want to be at the mall. And so then I just stopped taking her places. But so when I had to take her to Colorado and we had to walk through this hotel lobby every day, long hallway and the lobby, she got stopped so many times by people who were just like, oh, she's adorable. And she sort of loved it. And then the people at the vet, I think I've talked about this, I think because she wasn't acting sick yet from the cancer, I think that she was just a little bit of a breath of fresh air to them, because they're used to dealing with many, many sick animals. And so to have a dog that is in the cancer treatment area who does not seem to be aware that she has cancer, I'll probably say this in my video too, because yeah, I think they just got a kick out of her, because she was just like, hey guys, weird that I'm back here. Like, what are we doing? And then they would knock her out and give her radiation. And then she'd wake up and I would be there with cheese. And so she just like, she had a great time because she didn't experience any side effects of the radiation until after the 10 days of radiation. And then on the weekends, it was like, I just let her sleep. We found like a really great gluten-free chicken restaurant, and I would get that and like share it with her. Like I think she's like depressed now because she wants to go back to Colorado. So yeah, I guess, yeah, we made the best of it. I think we really did. She loved it. Let's see here. People are telling me that I need to do like a set up villager trading, and I probably do. I probably do. let's see here. Oh, this is interesting. I don't think Ramperia? Stacy, do you think Minecraft has helped you or others discover things about themselves that would otherwise have taken longer? Like your behavior or what you like to do? I've always wanted someone's thoughts on that. That's interesting. I mean, probably that's probably very true for a lot of other people who started playing the game when they were younger. I started playing the game when I was already 30. But... Oh, who was that? It was Mr. Pippi again. Mr. Pippi is saying, 6:27. He is saying, hey, do you know what's in 3 minutes at 6:30? It's my dinner time. He is so annoying too. He's not annoying. He's the prettiest baby boy ever. But Milquetoast, the only thing that Milquetoast can bully Pip about for some reason is food. Like if it has to do with like the coziest spot in the house, like the best blanket or the best bed or like the highest perch, or like Pipsqueak will 100% always kick Milquetoast out of whatever situation Milquetoast is in. But for some reason, Milquetoast is like the king of the food. And so I used to feed them on the stairs right next to each other. But sometimes Pip is like, no, Milquetoast can then like kick me off. Hey, Milk, I'm talking about you. Come here. Milk. Yeah, come here. It's funny. They both know their names. Milk. Milk. Hi, come here. Come here. Okay, no, you don't want to come here. Anyway, so all I'm saying is that Milquetoast always runs to a stair. I give him the food. Half the time, Pip will run to a stair and eat there. And half the time, oh, hey, baby boy. Hi. You came back because Pip chased you. Say meow. Milk. Will you say something in front of the microphone? No. You give a meow? No? No? Okay. Anyway, half the other time, Pip will like just run upstairs. And so then I have to bring him his food upstairs. Or into the other room. Like he'll just be like, he'll lead you to where he wants his dinner. And I do it because otherwise he will just run away and not eat. And then Milquetoast will like gorge himself on both food bowls. So anyway, it's become kind of like a funny thing of like, and where will you be taking your dinner tonight, Pipsqueak? Oh, don't climb on that wood pile, Pip. That's... Pippy, you're gonna... It's precarious, Pippy. It's on precarious peaks, Pippy. Oh, no. Oh, he's crazy. I should take a picture. Pip. Pippy. Pippy. Oh, that's a good picture. Oh, my gosh. Oh, but my camera's kind of broken. So he's kind of blurry. I was gonna say, hopefully I'll post this when the episode goes up so people know what I'm talking about, but I really need to get my phone fixed. It's okay though, it's not bad. Maybe I'll put it on my story or something. I've been posting on Instagram more than I normally have, which I think has probably ruined my algorithm for engagement on my photos, but it's fun. It's fun. I'm gonna try to, you know... Hey, please don't do that. Pippi, you gotta get down. You gotta get down. You're about to really knock over a lot of firewood. Do not jump. You can't. Get down. Good boy. How much... What am I still have a lot of... I'm gonna have to take a break and collect more questions because I did not think this through. So, hold on. Okay, I'm back by the miracle of editing and am joined by crickets now. Oh, and My computer's fan. Let me see. I have more questions. Catceline2463. Hi, Stacy. I have a question. Have you ever written your book on a typewriter? That's a very good question, especially since in this video I said, I wish I could just get rid of my computer and just have my typewriter. I also said laptop too. Yeah, so I got this typewriter called a FreeWrite, which is basically like a typewriter. It's a keyboard that has a tiny little screen, and the screen is sort of like a Kindle type screen. And when you type on it, you can see like the few sentences, like you can see like 3 sentences or so on the screen, and then they start disappearing. And it gets saved on the computer, but also then you sync it to the internet and it gets saved to like the cloud. So that device is used by writers primarily to get a first draft of something. And the way that I write my books, the pace of the Wild Rescuers books was actually kind of a little too fast for my liking, especially because I was juggling posting more videos at the time that I was doing them. If you think about it, I published 1 book a year from 2018 to 2021. So 18, 19, 20, and 21. And I only started working on the first book in 2017. And so it really was write a book, turn it in, it comes out while you're writing the second book, and then you turn it in and it comes out. Because you have to write it pretty far in advance for then the illustrations to happen, because they send the manuscripts to the illustrator. So unfortunately, what I tell people usually when they ask like at book signings and stuff is that the books are primarily almost like a rough draft. Like the way that the process works is like I do a rough draft of the whole book. I send it to my editor. He sends back notes. I do a revision of the book, send it back to the editor. Then the editor sends it to copy editing. The copy editor looks at it, sends me notes, and then I send it back again. Trying to think if I've missed a step with, well, I'm just leaving out the illustration process. Then they lay out the book, and then I get kind of a last look, and I can make... So technically it goes through 4 rounds of me making changes, but it's generally understood that by the 4th round, I'm not supposed to be adding sentences at that point. I'm supposed to be going, ooh, we need to just switch this word. Or, oh, I actually want to change this, like, can you flip-flop these sentences? Like, it's very minor stuff on the 4th round. The 3rd round is not supposed to be that big, but I kind of use it as an opportunity to submit, like, more changes. But it's very different from, like, some of the things that I would be hoping to publish in the future that I'm writing right now. Is like I'm taking as much time as I possibly can with the drafts that I'm working on now because I'm under no deadline. Whereas with the Wild Rescuers books, I had a deadline. And so I didn't have this FreeWrite device for my first 2 books. But I used it on the 3rd, actually. I wrote the entire 3rd book on the FreeWrite. I think that's maybe the shortest book too, though, so I don't know exactly what that means. But that was a situation where I'm pretty sure I had like the tightest deadline, and so I thought this is the perfect opportunity to like use this device because it's meant to really make you buckle down and just get it all out, and then you bring it onto the computer and revise from there. And then I don't think I used it on the 4th. I think, and that's mainly because, or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe I had the most time on the 3rd, and that's why I used it. I would have to look at a calendar. Because maybe that's what I'm thinking. Because the problem with the books was because the deadlines were usually so tight, I didn't like to use that device because you do have more typos with it, because you just are skipping around. You're not wanting to go back and format things, and that's the beauty of it. But then also, just with a tight deadline, sometimes I did on the 4th book, for instance, I was like, no, I need to this has to be perfect. Like, my first rough drafts on all these books were not rough at all. It was like, I would have almost been fine publishing the rough drafts, is because I was just so, that was the most time I had to work on it, was the first draft. And so instead of turning in something really rough and then not having enough time to get it where I wanted to be without the publisher just going, no, it's too late, you have a deadline, I tended to take my time and like turn it in almost like way too probably polished. But that's just how I liked to do it. And then I've never my dream would be to write a book on like an actual typewriter. So I have 3. Wait, 1, 2, 3. Okay. I have 3 typewriters that are like ribbon ink typewriters. And then I have 2 electric typewriters. Only one of which really I would use. And so I'd probably use the electric, just because the ribbon, like, I don't know, it would be so silly. It would be so silly to write a book on a real typewriter. It's also stressful, right? Because then you go back to a time that I grew up in of like, that's your manuscript. If something happens to it, you've lost your book, which you can say of a computer too. I think it would be really fun to write a book on a typewriter. And I think that my ultimate goal would be to not be doing YouTube anymore and to have unlimited time during the day to just, and not that I don't now, but I don't really give myself the permission to do it yet, but to just be like, I'm working on these several books and have it be like, this one's on the laptop, this one's on the free write, this one's on the regular typewriter, and have a space, like kind of a dedicated space in my house for each of those projects, which right now, like this desk is taking up YouTube space, if that makes sense. Because I don't really like, I don't like, I find myself just getting too distracted. If I have access to the internet, if I even, you get sort of, I got sidetracked the other day by formatting. I was like, oh, I don't like the way that this font is looking in Scrivener. And it's like, well, what does it matter? It does not matter. You're going to export this into probably a Word doc eventually. So it doesn't matter. Just write it. Anyway. Okay. Seaglass 7999. Anyway, the answer to your question was the 3rd book I wrote on a typewriter-like device of Wild Rescuers. Rescue Tales I've written on just my laptop. Seaglass 7999. You should talk to us about studying in London. I want to study there next year. Also, thank you so much for being such an amazing part of my childhood. I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't watch your videos. I think I have talked a little bit about it in past videos. My advice would be, if you have a student ID, you can go to the theater. At least you could 20 years ago. I don't know if you still can. And you could get cheap tickets. So I went and saw so many plays and musicals and ballets when I was in London. And I actually got in a little bit of trouble because I was staying in, like, my school had a house, and so it wasn't like I was staying with a family or in my own apartment. I was staying, like, basically in the school, and, like, I would just leave at night, and you kind of weren't really supposed to, but I was just like, I'm not gonna stay and just you know, hang out with the other people from the school, I'm gonna go to plays and musicals, and it was the best. Oh, it was so good. I saw so many good shows, and that's like one of my favorite memories from that. And then also just like, you know, go to museums. It sounds silly, but go to museums, and you as a student, you can get really good discounts. I had a favorite bookstore that I went to. I just didn't take the study, like I studied, but I didn't, you know, don't care about an A versus a B. Like, you know, experience studying abroad. Because you won't remember if you got an A or a B in a particular class. Like, is that trite advice? I hope everyone feels that way, but it occurs to me that a lot of people don't. And I know sometimes you have family pressure, but if you are putting the pressure on yourself, oh my goodness, release yourself from that. A or B, you know? I was like A, B, or C. Ava's yellow. Hi, Stacy. I started watching you when I was in 4th grade, and now I'm a senior in high school. You are one of the main reasons why I don't think this is a question. It's just pumping my ego. You are one of the main reasons why I love animals so much, and I recently submitted my first college application. I plan to major in fish and wildlife conservation. So I just wanted to say thank you for making me obsessed with animals. P.S. I really love this series, Live. That is so nice. I wish I would have majored in fish and wildlife conservation. Like, that's just the coolest thing ever, and it makes me indescribably happy that I could have had even the slightest thing to do with you majoring in fish and wildlife conservation. Because, you know, I don't think that me making videos in Minecraft could have done that, but people tell me that on book tour, so it must be true. And it just is like, oh, wow, that's what I was hoping for. And many times I go, well, no, you were just dying in a video game and making jokes and building things and you know, talking about mushrooms. Like, you couldn't possibly have actually gotten anyone interested in real life nature, but like, gosh, I hope so. I hope so. I don't know. But that was definitely the goal of the books. And just, you know, I guess hopefully my excitement for biomes comes through. Thank you for your comment. Misery Gloom 117. Why don't you make book review videos where you update us on what you're currently reading and you review or talk about it? Booktuber, basically. I would love to see what kind of books you like to read. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's part of me that is always coming up with ideas of things that I would do on my vlog channel that are more booktube-y kind of videos, and then I just go, oh, but I have to pay my bills, and I don't know that people... That's a niche, you know? Minecraft was a niche. And I had sort of more of a luxury of doing that back then because ad revenue from Dogcraft and Mineclash and Candy Isle and Mystic Mesa, like, it was much better, and I could be like, yeah, I'm doing Bookcraft, I don't care if it gets half of the views, this is what I want to do. And I kind of don't feel that way anymore, just in terms of like just everyday stress of just, I mean, you know, my dog needed $7,000 cancer surgery. It just feels slightly more like, I would have to maybe really get much more serious if I wanted to be able to keep doing videos that, I don't know what I'm saying. I've had lots of ideas to do stuff like that, and I would probably, if I was gonna launch a book club, want to make a couple videos that are more, because I don't know what the book club is, right? Like, do I have to make a separate Instagram? do I make, do we talk about the books on a YouTube video? It feels more like I want to like talk about the books on a Zoom call. You know what I mean? I want to invite everyone to like a Zoom. I don't know. Or is it a live stream? Like there has to be an actual meeting, right? For it to be a book club, in my opinion. I know that that's not true. I know that some of the most popular book clubs just pick a book. I think you have to actually discuss it. And like that's the point of doing a book club kind of for introverts, is that it's like you have friends that you're reading this book with. But you're not gonna, you're not gonna go to their house. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'll make some videos. I've certainly wanted to. I think it would have to come at the expense of doing some other things. I just don't have the ability, it seems like, to really make as many pieces of content as I used to. Let's see here. Which I think, I think is a factor of age and of some, kind of sad experiences I've had recently, like not recently, in the last 5 years of grieving people, pets, combined with burnout from the, 5 or 6 years that I did make a ton of videos, combined with, I got really, really sick twice from COVID. I had a concussion, just different little things, health things. Oh, no, I'm dumb. There's one big reason, and I just haven't shared it yet, that I had to step away. So, never mind. Didn't want to say that. Carry on. But yeah, I'm like racking my brain. Like, what? Now, why don't I make videos anymore? Anyway, oh, look, Winley17. Hi, Stacy. What is the order of your books? I ordered some for my daughter for her birthday and missed one in the series. I want to figure out which one I missed so I can order it. We love this series and the books too. You are amazing. Okay, so there's Wild Rescuers, which is 4 books. And are they numbered on the book? I think they're numbered on the actual spine. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first one is Taiga. The second one is Mesa. The third one is Tundra. And the fourth one is Ocean. And you do really kind of need to read those all in a row. It makes the most sense. I mean, you could also just read one and like kind of not keep going. But they all tell one story. Now, Rescue Tales is meant to just go in whatever order. It would help if you've read the first Wild Rescuers to be like, why is this girl in a forest? But I explain it all in every single, so like this, there's 2 Rescue Tales books so far, and in the second one and in the first one, they're not even numbered. It's not first and second. It's Precarious Peaks or Treacherous Tower. You could read them. You could read just you could read just Precarious Peaks, the one that's coming out now. You could read that before any of the Wild Rescuers. Like, that was how it was sort of envisioned as something that people could start with even, and then graduate to Wild Rescuers. Which I kind of feel bad about now, though, because the hardcovers are really hard to find of Wild Rescuers. I still have them on my store. But they're hard to find in person. In, like, bookstores. Anyway, that's all. Thank you. Masimu, hey Stacy, this is a silly question, and IDK if you'll even see this, but I want to ask, oh my gosh, I want to ask who your favorite Muppet is. Also, big longtime fan. It's so nice to see you uploading again and loving the relaxed long form videos. Honestly, I just watch them as a podcast. Hey, great. Oh my gosh, my favorite Muppet? I can't answer this. I love the Muppets so much. I grew up with the Muppets. I haven't ordered it yet, but one of my favorite movies, I'm going to get it on DVD is what I'm saying. I love The Great Muppet Caper. I sing the song that the guy sings when Miss Piggy is in the swimming pool. She's having a dream at a fashion show runway Well, it's not a swimming pool. She's in a swimming pool, but it's actually a water fountain. But I'm not going to sing it, but the part where it's like, you know, "Aw, Miss Piggy, all the world ever wanted was you, a dream come true. Aw, Miss Piggy." I sometimes just burst into that around my house. There's a gruffness to the voice that you have to kind of like, you know, "A dream come true." Oh my goodness. It's the best. It's the best movie. But I mean, all the Muppet movies are great. And I loved Muppet Babies. I was like, you know, I want to look that up. I always say like I was that generation, but when did Muppet Babies run on TV? Because I also lived in Germany as a kid, and so sometimes I missed. No, 84 to 91. So this was me. This was my childhood. But I'm gonna have to Google the cast to really like Rolf, obviously, Bunsen and Beaker, obviously, Sam. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. I have a funny Muppet story. Wait, I have a funny Muppet story. So, I don't know if it's just in The Great Muppet Caper, but there's this bit that Kermit and Fonzie do. Fonzie? Gonzo and it's Fonzie? Fozzie. The Fonz. I'm confusing two shows. Fozzie Bear? Fozzie Bear? Fozzie. It's been so long. It's Fozzie Bear? Not Fonzie Bear? Yeah, okay. There's no such thing as... Yeah, Fozzie Bear. Okay, anyway. Now I sound like I don't love the Muppets, but I promise you I do. There's this bit that they do when they're like, "We're brothers," and then they're like, "Do you see the resemblance?" It must just... I think it's just in The Great Muppet Caper. And then they kind of like open their mouths and like put their shoulders, like their backs to each other, and they're like, "Ah," and the joke is like they look nothing alike. And I did that once. I was at the post office and my dad came in, and the post office worker was like, "Oh my gosh, like I've never, like I recognize the name, but like I've never seen you in the same place." And I was like, because my dad and I do look alike. And so I literally was like, "Don't we look alike?" And like turned my back and like we opened our mouths. I was like, "Ah." And I don't think she got it at all. And I think that it also damaged my friendship with her. I don't think so, but I think she thought it was bizarre. Oh, Janice. I love Janice. Favorite Muppet. I can't choose because I love them all. I love Miss Piggy. I love Miss Piggy. Sometimes I call Molly Miss Piggy. No, I called Paige Miss Piggy a lot because I called her like Paige, Pidge, Pig, Piggy. Who's this bird? I'm like Googling new Muppet babies and there's a bird. There's just randomly a bird. Did they just get rid of, is it Scooter and Skeeter? Was there a Scooter and a Skeeter? Skeeter. Yeah. I can't choose. Next question. I can't choose. Oh, because does Sesame Street count as Muppets? Does Fraggle Rock count as Muppets? Like, who are the Muppets? I also loved The Muppet Show. Like, what was it? The Muppet Show? The Muppets Tonight? Muppets Tonight? The two old guys, too? If you haven't seen The Great Muppet Caper, that's the one. That's the one to watch. It's probably why I majored in journalism. I laugh, but that's maybe true. Dropped my water bottle. What a name. Hello, Stacy. If you could be any sea creature on Earth, what would it be? I would love to be a narwhal. I discovered you a while ago from Hungercraft with Joey, and I rewatch them all the time, and I loved that you also knew of the existence of narwhals. And I think that also made me fall in love with them the more I read about them. Narwhal's a really good pick. Sea creature. So does that means like, oh, that means mammals? That means anything. Sea creature? Any sea creature. I mean, I would be the Loch Ness Monster. I'd be the Loch Ness Monster. 100%. I mean, I don't know if the Loch Ness Monster exists, but I believe wholeheartedly that there's a large sea creature that we don't know about because the ocean is just too big for that not to be possible. I mean, a serious answer. What's a good answer? I was gonna say dolphin, but then I thought I wouldn't want to have a predator. And so wouldn't it be sad if I was just like sea sponge? I want to be a mollusk attached to a whale. Yeah, I mean, sharks kind of mess with dolphins. So now I'm thinking orca is a really good one. I mean, obviously, like the biggest whale would be the coolest thing ever. It'd be so cool to be that massive and just like, I don't know. That'd be so neat. I would say orca. And I would 100% be one of the orcas that is like tipping over boats. You know? I wouldn't want anyone to die, but I'd want to ruin a few boats for fun. Sure. That took a turn. I think your question was so kind and just like narwhals are cool. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to mess some boats up as an orca. I less than Josh. Stacy, since you are trying to collect old DVDs, I'm curious if there are any new movies you want to add to your collection or have on hand. Ooh, that's a tough one because I'm deep in the middle of my DVD ordering. And I'm really picky. Because here's the thing. I don't watch a movie every night. I know some people who do. I don't even watch a show every night. Like I don't want to. I really want to read more. I want to sleep more. You know, I watch so much tennis. So here I watch a lot of sports. And I mainly watch tennis and NBA basketball. So I watched last year, for example, I think I watched like almost every San Antonio Spurs game. Like I subscribe to the thing that gets you the out of market games. And then I for sure watch every like Grand Slam, but I watch a lot of tennis ATP Tour too on tennis TV. So between the sports and then like a couple reality shows, or like shows that just pop up, like limited series shows that I hear about, and then podcasts or books. Like I don't have a lot of time for movies, but I like the idea of having my cabin stocked with some DVDs. But I've been being really, really choosy. Like I have to ask myself, like, would I watch this movie tonight? And if the answer's not yeah, then I just don't even get it as a DVD. And I'm also really selective, so it's mostly 80s and 90s. Or it's like old, like Cary Grant, Doris Day, Audrey Hepburn type old, 40s, 50s. Charade. I just got Charade. So it has to be, and that's kind of like movies that my mom introduced me to, I would say. And then 80s and 90s are like movies that I have nostalgia for. I can't think. Oh, Coco. Like I included Coco. Do you want to know what's crazy? Is that this will illustrate how picky I'm being. Is that I was like, well, I got to get Coco and Encanto. And then I was like, you know what? Every single time I'm choosing Coco over Encanto. I love Encanto, but every single time I will choose Coco. if I'm only watching, like, say I'm only gonna watch like a kids animated movie once a year. Like, you would think, maybe knowing me, you'd be like, oh, you're probably gonna have like every Disney movie. It's like, nope, I'm gonna have Oliver and Company, Aladdin, Lion King, Coco. As far as rewatchability, what did I just... Yeah. Probably. I mean, listen, if I start... I've just been squirreling my DVDs away. I haven't actually, like... There's a bookcase that I have my eye on that's an antique that I want to buy for the DVDs. If I get that antique bookcase and it is so not full at all, then, and I have the money, then I'll be like, okay, cool, yeah, let me get Encanto, let me get WALL-E, let me get Up. I think I might have Up. But I would get The Jungle Book, I would get 101 Dalmatians. Like, there's other Disney movies I would be happy to have. But if the shelf that I want is kind of more of like a limited space, like, I don't want a crazy collection. When I went into this Airbnb, it was so nice to me, actually. When I think about all the streaming services, it's almost like there's too many options, right? Like, what I found so interesting about the Airbnb was that person only maybe had 100 DVDs, and they were all alphabetized. And I liked the limitation, because you don't have that a lot these days. You don't have a limitation on how many pictures you can take with your phone like you used to, really. You don't have a limitation on how many, what am I trying to say? Like, music. It's not about popping a CD in. Like, I remember being a kid and, like, being wowed by when people's cars they had, like, CD players in the trunk, and they could hold, like, 8 CDs in the trunk. And it was like, oh my gosh, like, what? You have so much, capability of listening to so many songs. Which is just funny now, because you have unlimited with Spotify almost. So I think that's going to become a thing now. I think people are going to want to have some choices made for them eventually. I mean, people already do, right? Like, that's what's scary to me about GPS, is that I have noticed in the last the last year, I would say, really weird stuff sometimes I turn GPS on when I don't need it, just because I want to know. It's gotten so good about the ETA. And so if I'm on my way to, like, a doctor's appointment, for example, and I just am like, I'm so far away, I live in the mountains, like, did I leave with enough time? I'll turn on GPS even though I don't need it for directions. And what's really interesting about that is to watch some of the decisions that it makes, because I've seen it do stuff that just doesn't make any sense. And then you're going, well, what is that doing? And it's no longer just solving for the fastest time anymore. It's also solving for gas efficiency. Who knows what it's thinking? But I find that very troubling, that people are so willing to just kind of follow that instead of choosing which direction they actually want to go, in terms of, like, sometimes I choose, like, well, wait a minute, it's making a decision for me based on a 2-minute difference, but the road that is 2 minutes longer is so pretty this time of year with the leaves. And I think about stuff like that a lot, like that we're constantly willing to trade beauty for time. And now we have a device that we're not even aware that that's what we're doing. We don't even know that we're doing that. That's scary to me. How did I get here? What was I saying? Coco versus Encanto? Wait, no, how did I get here? How did I get here? Limitation. Yeah, the idea is not to have an impressive DVD collection. The idea is to have it's quality over quantity. So I'm really being careful about how many I order, because then I realize that if you order too many, then you almost you miss the point. It happened to me again. I went to a hotel in just last month, and it was my favorite thing ever, because this used to be so common. It's the front desk had a binder of DVDs, and there's not that many. And so you have this choice to make, but it's a makeable choice, right? That's the problem right now with the streamers, is that you can watch anything, but you don't even know everything that exists that you could watch. And so then you're almost kind of like, well, what do I do? Do I make a decision based on everything I know that I could watch, or do I spend time researching what all of the choices are? And then it gets like to be 9 o'clock and you're like, I don't want to watch a movie now. Wow. This was something. This was really something. I'm not sure I'm going to do this again. I kind of feel like it's better to maybe cut it with a little bit of Minecraft talk, right? Let me remember what I was doing. So I started to build this out of mangrove. I don't know why. I hate pink. And then I was like, let's strip it. I wanted to use dark oak, and I realized that I don't have a spruce sapling, and I don't have a dark oak sapling, which is really an oversight in this series. So this is going to get better, and it's not. It's really bad. I make a mistake right here. I make a mistake, and I make too many. I made too many of those slabs. You should be able to craft a slab back into a block. I mean, no, you shouldn't. Once axes are pretty permanent. Anyway, I make a mistake. I mean, this whole thing is a mistake, but I come in at the end with some copper, which I think is going to seem really out of left field. But I think when I'm thinking about if the copper fully oxidizes into teal, that the teal and the pink is kind of going to look awful in a good way. And I'm also going to probably put a little bit of grass in the pen and a hay bale. I'm not going to make it sad. The idea was I probably should have explained this in general. I've been wanting to do this for a while, is that I like the idea of some of the animals milling about the island. And that includes the sniffer, the camel, the donkey, the armadillos. I really want a green frog. But the llamas, and then the barnyard, the cows, the sheep, the chickens, I sort of want to be contained somewhere. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the llamas. I like the idea of the abandoned cobwebby stable, maybe over on the mesa side, maybe across the bridge. But I just kind of wanted to put the cows here, and I don't know that this was a good spot for it at all. I'm trusting the process, which is what's nice, I think, about this particular plot of land that I'm on, especially now that it's fully contained by a wall, is that we have this is what I'm talking about, limitations, is that we have to work now with what we have. We can always go underground, we can always go up, but we can't go out, except for when I build out into the ocean. But anyway, the point is that I think if I trust the process and keep perfecting every little corner, then eventually it'll all kind of work, because I don't know. I was kind of confused about this house at first. But the more I kind of worked at it and sort of tweaked the colors and the materials, I still kind of been wanting to try yellow glass panes, but I'm really happy with it now. it's never going to be Hermitcraft, right? Like, I'm not trying to do a huge thriving city of any sorts. But as long as everything is filled almost, then I think it'll look good. So this mangrove was a risk, and it clashes so much with the mushroom. I don't think I even thought about that. But I'm hoping that by the end of, not this episode, the end of, whenever this world feels finished, I'm hoping it just kind of looks, not everything has to be perfect and special and like my ideal color combination. Like, we can have a little mangrove stable. It's going to be okay. We're going to figure it out. And part of it is embellishing. Like, maybe I'll even lean into it and throw down some like pink glazed terracotta. Oh gosh, no, I'm not going to. It's a terrible idea. But see, even just building it into the back of that wall, like, I could change that and perfect it, but I don't want to for now. Like, I think I'm trusting the process. I think the more terraforming I do, the more lanterns I add, the more sort of just like different things that exist. Hopefully it will start to feel intentional instead of chaotic. The telescope is chaotic. The telescope is really stressing me out. Yeah, I don't know. This is it's not a good build, but if we get the nether hub going and we go out far enough and we find like that biome that I wanted originally. I wanted extreme mountains with a wildflower kind of meadow in the top of the mountains. That is somewhere that I would consider actually like attempting a legit cool like builder level ski chalet type build that I'm really proud of. This base here is just meant to kind of be this really cool, sort of giving amusement park vibes now, which is not what I want, but it's just meant to be functional. And my biggest goal that I think will be the coolest thing ever is just to be able to I already kind of can, is to completely be able to walk around at night with it super lit up. All this new copper stuff from the child chambers is so cool. I have to... Do the copper doors oxidize? I feel like I don't know. And there's a way to make things not oxidize, right? I feel as though I just have not done enough with copper. I really like copper. Actually, when I lived in London, the street that I lived at had this building at the top of the street that has this green copper dome. And whenever I would travel kind of away from the center that I was staying at, and I would walk, or I'd take the tube and then walk from a station, or I'd walk back a couple blocks, I would always turn and see the copper dome. And it kind of became, this sounds silly, it kind of became like my friend. And I've gone back to visit. This sounds crazy. I'm just saying that when I go back to England and I fly into London and I fly into Heathrow, I take the train to Paddington Station. And then I'm so close to where this is on Notting Hill Gate that I go. and there's like a bookstore there that I used to go to, and a cafe. But I literally see that copper dome, and I'm like, yeah, that's okay. It's crazy how, I mean, I only lived there for 5 months, four and a half months. But I guess if it's the right time if it's the right age, and it's your first kind of real experience on your own, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It left a big impression on me. I sort of almost feel like I could see myself living there when I'm old. I don't know. And by old, I mean if I'm lucky enough to be like old, you know, where you want to live somewhere where there's a park and many a hospital. People, you know, not, I don't know that you want to live up a mountain if you're really, really old. Anyway, cool, great. Yeah, I don't know. It's too bad I would never be able to get a Dalmatian when I was really old because they're so hyper. But there are a lot of Dalmatians at shelters because people get them and they don't realize how hyper they are. Listen, I'm going to fix this. The cave is not done. The stable is not done. These things are not done. They're not good. They will get the bridge is not done. They'll get there. The telescope's not done. Oh, the other bridge is not done. We're gonna get there. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. But until then, Paige and Molly love you. Go rescue a dog.